And it's time now for Weather Center. Let's go ahead and take a look at the latest satellite imagery of Isabel. Still a powerful Category 2 hurricane. Has entrained some dry air, though, and that has kind of kept it steady instead of strengthening or anything like that as it gets closer to the coast. So mainly looking at, again, a big wind threat here along with a heavy rain threat, high tides and surf. And of course the storm surge will be a potential. We'll be talking about a lot of those things upcoming in Storm Watch. That's at 10 minutes before the top of the hour. I've got some graphics to show you on potential wave action that you're likely to find, as well as that surge. So we'll take a look at that. In the meantime, let's look at the latest statistics as of 2 o'clock. If you're just tuning in again, 205 miles to the south-southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. Movement has sped up a little bit north-northwest at 13 miles per hour, so it has accelerated this evening. Sustained winds of 105 miles per hour and the central pressure at 957 millibars. And here is the projected path, which would bring it on shore sometime on Thursday, perhaps around the midday hours. So we'll continue to watch this obviously very closely, and likely to be picked up by trough and sent northward throughout the course of the day on Friday. So heavy rain and wind will also be a factor into parts of the northeast and the eastern Great Lakes as we head on into the latter end of the week. And there's a look at your hurricane advisories from Chincoteague and Smith Point, Virginia, down to Cape Fear. We have hurricane warnings, meaning hurricane conditions are imminent or are expected within the next 24 hours. And obviously, as we head into tomorrow afternoon, even before that, many of you are going to be feeling those effects. And Sandy Hook, New Jersey, down through Chincoteague and Smith Point to tropical storm warnings, and then south from Cape Fear down to South Santee River, tropical storm force winds. Again, the very broad circulation with this, and because of that, we could find tropical storm force winds out this far. There's also an area of high pressure to the north, and the pressure gradient between that high and our hurricane going to mean some very brisk conditions. So heavy surf advisories in effect in these areas as well. So even out toward Long Island and up around Block Island, believe it or not, and as far south as Florida, down around the Deerfield Beach area of Florida. So again, remember, these waves have been propagating for days, and at one point this was a Category 5 hurricane for several days. So these waves have been moving on in, and they've been taking their time, but they're making it to shore, and they will be quite strong. Current winds you can see here, and at one point we did have a gust up to tropical storm force out here in the Outer Banks, so would not be uncommon throughout the course of the night to see those winds picking up rather briskly. And look at the rain here. There's another batch of some heavy rain coming at you around Cape Hatteras, and there may be some lightning. We haven't seen a whole lot of lightning with this just yet. Could be because so much dry air has worked its way on in, but anytime we have a landfalling tropical system, there's also the potential for some severe weather and maybe even tornadoes. So that's something to think about as we get on into your Friday, or Thursday rather, so we'll keep an eye out for that. All right, let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Current weather, high pressure.
Out come the rain and high winds as Isabel moves in.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Outlook. It's Thursday, September 18th. I'm Kim Perez.
And I'm Nick Walker. It's 5:30 in Baltimore, 4:30 in Dallas.
Well, the Weather Channel is in storm alert mode as we bring you the latest on the approach and impending landfall of Hurricane Isabel. The latest satellite of Isabel showing it not too far from making landfall, probably in the next maybe 6 to 8 hours here. And already some of the heavy rain making its way into eastern North Carolina. We do have hurricane warnings in the same places we had before, and Smith Point, Virginia, into the southern Chesapeake to Chincoteague, Virginia, all the way to Cape Fear, North Carolina. Tropical storm warnings. The change here is that we have included, the National Hurricane Center has extended these into Mauritius Inlet, New York, along Long Island. So we could expect tropical storm force winds within the next 24 hours.
Rain bands are moving now into Virginia Beach, Virginia, and meteorologist Mike Seidel is stationed there. We want to check in with him. Good morning, Mike. Has the rain increased this hour?
No, it hasn't. In fact, it has actually just about stopped now. I'm able to take my hood down and now get sandblasted. Boy, this sand is really, it's like atmospheric dermabrasion. We're out here at Virginia Beach. High tide this afternoon at about 1:45, so our concern is mid to late afternoon when we get the worst of the surge. One of the worst hit areas usually in any kind of storm, whether it's a nor'easter or a tropical storm or hurricane, is down the beach here. Let me show you what it looks like from the Sandbridge section of Virginia Beach. Pictures from yesterday. Some of these homes, obviously, a little too close for comfort, built up on stilts, because, again, it doesn't take much of an onshore wind to kick the water up higher than average. You add on higher than average tides with the approach of Isabel and a predicted 6 to 9 foot surge, and we will have certainly a lot of beach erosion even where I'm standing, and we may lose some property on the south side of town. So that's why they ordered that mandatory evacuation yesterday from Sandbridge right up here through the resort area, the 2 or 3 blocks closest to the beach, and then over towards the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. We'll also be watching the downtown Norfolk and Portsmouth areas. Those areas are prone to flooding as that water gets backed up into the bay and then into those rivers and estuaries. Once again, winds this morning are running at about 30 miles an hour with gusts up to 40 to 45 miles an hour. So far, very little rain, but we expect the rain combined with this wind to knock down a lot of trees, and a lot of power likely will be out by later on tonight and certainly by early tomorrow morning. Good weekend weather if you've got beach plans. Nick, Kim?
We'll just hold out until then.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mike Seidel reporting
Sure.
live from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
And, of course, we're concerned about travelers today. What kind of tips can you give travelers around the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast today, Dennis?
Looks like a very messy day. Flights, expect them to be delayed or canceled. Rail systems have already altered their schedule. Roadways are going to have debris in along them, from down power lines, down tree limbs, maybe even down trees. As we settle into the area of airports, speaking of airports,